Okay, so we've done the orders, we've done the menu, and we've done the promotions. Now we're going to look at the analytics. Okay, so this is a main simple dashboard which just demonstrates certain very simple things. We have a chart here which has on the left we have revenue, monthly revenue, then we have on the right customer growth. So you can see here that January was the starting month, so that was around 20 grand. Then it went up, more and more people coming back, people coming into the QSkip family as users as well, who will be migrating on here, and also people who are in here who transact once and otherwise would go to John Gandy's, of course, but now they're migrating their transactions onto the QSkip app rather than doing it in the establishment in the sort of old-fashioned way, because they see the efficiency and the improvements and the customer experience is far better with QSkip. You don't have to wait at a horrible bar for 15 minutes. They can just get it easy peasy. And users again is going up. April is quite low because we're only a few days into April, so that makes a lot of sense. But April is doing pretty well already, so you'd think that it would be quite high. So here you just have a few metrics for revenue per month. This is ARPU per month essentially. Then you have average session value, number of sessions per month. Not too bad. Maybe could be pumped up some of these, and this is the way to monitor these things with promotions to see if you can increase the number of transactions, maybe the number of sessions. We can increase the number of sessions, maybe with decreasing the number of transactions, because people come in for their one promotion and leave, and you can see the knock-on effect with the average session value and average revenue per month and all this sort of stuff. And we'll get into more detailed promotions over here. Here we have a product split. So you have in the middle, this is the number of products that actually, so you can see the majority it's actually pretty even between beer and cider and cocktails. You can see the color coding down here. But then when you come to transactions, suddenly you can see that the cocktails takes up a far larger chunk, and actually specialty drinks get smaller and smaller. And when it comes to revenue, then cocktails takes up a very large chunk. That's almost almost 3/4 of the entire revenue, in fact. But it being a cocktail bar and cocktails being a more expensive product cost, it makes a lot of sense. And here again, you have essentially those details just in that format there. So that's just very standard, sort of straightforward bird's eye view of what's going on. Then you have here, what you can do here is you can export very granular data from the back end to hand off to your data or your accounting team to do analysis and to see what's going on, essentially. And this is an understandable thing for anyone who uses analytics tools. You would just tick the relevant boxes, put them in green if you're interested in them, and then you'll be able to then export it, a PDF, CSV, or just an Excel document. And of course, this being an application on a tablet, essentially it's connected to the internet, it's connected to email and all this sort of stuff. So essentially, you just download it onto the tablet, onto the iPhone, iPad, onto the Apple iPad, which will be given to the venues, and then you can email it again around your team and look at the various different dashboards, which will also be as part of these things. Maybe for a management meeting, you can show around these dashboards and see what's going on. And you can use these data to do a bunch of different analysis that is more advanced than we have actually inbuilt within the app itself. Obviously, there's only so much you can do in an app in these types of graphical formats. with limited space. But what you can do here, so what have they selected? They've got date and time, sales in terms of units, sales in terms of value. You've got the customer ID. Of course, this is the ID that will be assigned, a totally anonymized ID, which will be assigned to users when they join the QSkip app. So this is QSkip general, so it's not a customer ID specific to John Gandy. The customer cohort is, however, specific to John Gandy, because this allows people to understand who comes in first and then who comes back each month, what they transact, how much they spend on their first purchase, on their second purchase, what the churn rate is, what the retention is, all that sort of stuff. This person doesn't appear to care about that, so that's fine. We've got transactions and sessions, so if you want to just know the transactions, then you could have the individual transactions, but you want to know what transactions fall in terms of a session. So obviously you may have, in fact you do have around 1.42 transactions per session, so you'd want to know that. Then you get into the menu bits. You have menu, the main menu, category, sub-menu, which obviously doesn't exist with John Gandy anyway, product name, product variance, product unit price. This person doesn't appear to care, so they just want to know the product name. So you'd have transactions, you'd have a decent drill down on how much is being generated from different things, users, what they normally go for, that sort of stuff. Promotion ID, again, this is the loyalty stuff that we've already seen, the loyalty club, the loyalty offer, the cocktail club, and all that sort of stuff. Then you can go to promotion, notifications, issued, redeemed, which is essentially the conversion that we were talking about before. And then finally you have personnel name, order, time to complete, and orders, items, time to complete. So essentially you could say, you could, this is for sort of performance management for your staff, figuring out who's best placed to be manning the area of the bar which is specific for QSkip. The majority of the bar staff presumably will still be working with the regular sort of old-fashioned way of doing things, but you want people essentially who have a very, very quick turnover of drinks to be monitoring this area of the bar. So you can use this to determine who's doing what, how quickly they're doing it in terms of the overall order, and then in terms of the individual drinks as well. And you can use that for performance management, like I say. So that's that. That's just an overview. Let's go to revenue now. Now here we have revenue, financials. You can do this. You can add an average line to see how you're doing against the average week. Obviously these guys haven't been going for too long, but they're doing better than their average line this week. You can see obviously they're a bit low today because we're only halfway through the day, so this should probably creep up to around there, maybe a little better by the end of the day. You can see obviously going through the week it gets better towards the weekend. It's very understandable. You can also see the value. We can see, you saw that earlier. Those, you can also see how much of this revenue is generated from new or returning customers. So if you turn off returning, then you can see a decent little proportion actually of people, but particularly on Friday and Saturday night, Monday as well, strangely, and indeed Sunday, quite a decent proportion. Then you can do this, which showcases essentially the proportion of the revenue that's been generated from promotions, and this serves to demonstrate how much that John Gandy is actually utilizing the promotions features and the data that is inbuilt within the value proposition for QSkip partners fairly well, because it's a decent little proportion. It will probably get higher, but it's a decent proportion. And this is notable. This is only the pure promotion transaction. So it's quite possible that a fair chunk of the rest of this is actually made up of people who were dragged there as a result of the promotion and then decide to stick around for another session. So it could actually be a larger proportion. You can also go in here and designate which one So if you wanted to see which one in relation to the loyalty offer, obviously this flash promotion is gone, but you could check these ones to see these as well. But we don't necessarily want to do that. Turn that off. And then you can also drill down on transactions and sessions if you wished, but it's not particularly valuable. And of course you can go here and you can, which shows the week, and you can go here, it shows all time. Obviously John Gandy's launched with the app at the beginning of the year, so you can see this is a very good general increase in time of custom, as we saw on the main summary as well. And then you can also go for a custom number of days. This is obviously defaulted to this period, which is the start to the end, but you can go any period you like. You could also go even into individual days, which would show you the daily fluctuations, when the peak times are, and you could do that against the average to maybe it could become a point where you're using it for resourcing purposes and that sort of stuff. So that essentially is revenue. And again, you can export this just like you could with the summary, and you could export the dashboard and use it as part of a management pack for analysis as well with your team. Now, promotions. Okay, so here we have, this is defaulted to all time because it's a comparison between promotions. So if you did it by week or by custom or whatever, you could, if you had promotions which exactly followed the same pattern in terms of their start date, their campaign, whatnot, you can do it. Otherwise, this is better because you can then determine it's easier from a comparison perspective. So anyway, here we have revenue on this side. This is total revenue generated. So you can see obviously this one is by far the largest, but this is the one that's been going on for a long time. These ones, you've got the cost of promotion here, which we've already discussed previously, is essentially the value cost of the promotion divided by the total session value, not the voucher transaction value, but the total session value. And of course you can do the values there and determine what's what, and you can customize and do all that stuff as well. Then you can go to vouchers, and this determines, you've got the number redeemed here and you've got the conversion rate. And again, you can see, just do a little comparison there, and you've got new customers as well. Obviously this is a bit misleading because this one is specifically designed to get new customers, whereas these two aren't. So in that instance you may want to just turn off that one, and then you're doing a more like-for-like comparison to see what's what. Obviously this analytics comparison would work far better when you have a lot of promotions running at any given moment, and I think that's the value, but it's still very valuable anyway. So let's just add that back, and this is obviously graphical format, but you can also do it in just a chart or a table here, which showcases again the sort of some of the key statistics here, so you can make a decent little quick high-level comparison of these guys, see how long they've been running, see if they're live or expired, see all this sort of stuff, see the number of vouchers, see the conversion rate and all this sort of stuff. And the value of the new consumers, you can see, is very, very high there, 23,000 for this guy, but he's been running for a long time. So as we said before, there will be many within these new customers, particularly the retained customers, who are around 263, I think it was, who will come back and back and back and back again. But this is a very valuable amount, obviously. Then if you want to go more detailed and actually have a look at the individual performance of individual campaigns, you would click on it and it would take you there. Now this is obviously, the date has been obviously immediately aligned with the timeline for the campaign, so that's when it was started, as we saw, and then it's gone through, and this is obviously, it's still going, so this is today. and we'll see how it does until its completion in a week or two's time, a week and a half's time. And again, you can do this. So this, you can see it's doing pretty well. Actually, it's generating a decent amount of revenue each day. You can do it cumulatively as well to see how it's doing. So overall, we're almost at 2,000 quid. You can also do it as a proportion of all revenue to see how much is being generated. And again, you can add the average as well to see how much of a proportion. So you can see almost that actually this is taking it above the average. You can see to some degree the amount that's going above the average is contingent on this. And you can obviously show values as well. So that's the loyalty offer that we know and love. Let's go to the flash promotion, because this is quite interesting. This now, you can see the average line here is a lot higher here. You can see this is daily. So this was a Wednesday, and at around 7 o'clock, or maybe earlier, they realized that they're way below average. Way below average. And they thought, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to send out this promotion and try and drag people in. And whether or not we can do this in live, or whether or not this is something they would have to just determine themselves through just seeing the number of transactions is questionable. But ultimately, what you can do using QSkip data, if you take, for instance, you take a Saturday night and you say how many drinks did we process via QSkip, and how many drinks did we process via our main point of sale system, and you can determine the proportion of QSkip transactions of the total, and you can use that to approximate footfall at any given moment. So you could use QSkip as a means by which to figure out how busy or not you are. So for instance, if you were a manager of numerous different of a few different branches of a particular bar or a particular pub, you could log in and say, assuming that you do have live data, you could log in and say, all right, I'm gonna push the button on a promotion to drag people in, because clearly we're having a down day for some reason. Maybe people are staying in for whatever reason. Maybe it's raining. Maybe it's, I don't know. But let's drag people in using this promotion, and it turns out to be very good in this instance. You can see it goes, and then it pushes the line above the average and keeps it above for the rest of the day. You see there's a quick tail, goes off, but it keeps them going. And again, a lot of these people will be sticking around. So that's that. Then let's go to the last one, which is the cocktail club. So that's just pretty standard operation. You can see it's a decent proportion of the total. You can see the average line is just going along with it. Here, vouchers, we've got notifications issued, redeemed. This essentially, this blue line of the blue undulating line at the bottom is essentially the conversion rate, and you can see it's not bad. It's doing pretty well as a proportion. You can see this goes all over the place. You can see the conversion rate may not always. You see people come in here, people accept them a lot here, and they actually start to redeem later on. So these will not mirror each other exactly. Cost of promotion, again, you can see here. This is interesting because you can see the transaction value. So this is the promotion itself. This is the transaction, including the promotion, which is usually inflated because people want to maximize the benefit of the 20% off. And then this is the total session value. So you see some people will disappear after this, but some people will stay, and therefore the average of the session has actually gone up. So you've convinced people to stick around and have another drink. And you can see the cost of promotion fluctuates, but it's a pretty decent level around, 14% or whatever, a little lower actually, probably 13 point something percent. And this last one here is new customers, and you can see the retained customers is good. See, it wasn't great, and then it sort of picked up, gone up. Reason being, the reason it's probably going up is because, again, someone who comes in here may not be considered a retained customer until they come back here. So that's why it's probably people don't come back for a week, for a little while, and then people start to come back, and then it starts going up exponentially. So you would expect this to start going through the roof, and also that would have a trickle-down effect to these different lines, which is the promotion revenue and then the ongoing revenue. So the promotion revenue is everything that is included within the promotion session, and then everything else is beyond that. So these people coming back, they come back, they transact again and again and again, and you can see obviously this, all of this value, but particularly this value, is being generated from, well, all of the value is being generated from the promotion, but this is cost-free value. This is all cost-free value, and therefore that promotion cost that we've discussed is being diluted again and again and again. And that ultimately is it. It's just a means by which to demonstrate that there are good benefits to having this data, having access to users, and by means by which to attract people. Again, to underline the importance of that, and also providing your customers with a good quality experience via these great offers, but also via obviously the experience in the venue, where they don't have to stand at a cluttered bar, and they can get their drinks and schedule their drinks and do all that stuff in comfort and in a really nice experience. So that's that anyway. Thank you for watching.